Hey everybody, today we're going to do our quick tutorial on how to make a character quiz game in Roblox. Alright, so we're going to start out with a basic base plate, so go ahead and get the base plate started. And the next thing we're going to do is make a rectangle. So we'll find a part, we'll bring this part over, we're going to use our scale tool to make it bigger. Again, we want it to be the size of a kind of a good sized door. But we're going to eventually put a picture on it, a decal, and that's going to allow us to see essentially who the character is. Alright, so now that we have the part kind of the way we like it, we're going to go add a decal. The way to add a decal is just to go to your part in the Explorer and hit the plus sign. And then from here, you'll have the option to add a decal. A decal is just a picture that goes on a surface, so that's really easy. The next thing we need to do is find the decal. So probably the best thing to do is go to our toolbox, and the toolbox we are going to look for images. And since this is, we'll do a superhero quiz, I'm going to search for Iron Man. Okay. Again, you can find any of these pictures. I'll just take this one, and what I'm going to do is click it, or right click it actually, and copy the asset ID. This is stored in the Roblox cloud, so to access it, that's kind of what we're going to do. Actually, I think I added it. I'm just going to delete that. And then for the decal, we go down to, I'm going to close out a property, or the toolbox. Make sure you have your properties panel open while you select the decal, and looking for texture. There it is. So we're going to paste it right there. And there you go. So that's how you do a decal. The next thing we are going to do is add in a variable. The variable is going to be what tracks the answer to this quiz. So we're going to do a plus sign next to the part. And for this one, it's probably best just to type in string, there it is, string value. A string value is just a word. Okay, so when we click on the value, we can take the value probably, which is the name of the variable, and let's call it the character. I would recommend typing it just like that with a capital T, capital C, no spaces, and then the code will work seamlessly. If you change it, then you will have to change it in the code. Alright, the next part is the value. The value is what is actually going to be different every time. So here we're going to say Iron Man. Be cautious on this one too. I'm not exactly sure the best way to spell Iron Man if it's a space in between iron and man. But whatever you would do, if you're using capital letters, lowercase letters, just stick with what you think is going to work, and I think that's going to be our best strategy. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is add a script. So we'll go back to the part, plus sign, script, and this script is going to be empty right now, but if you go to the resources in the slideshow on slide 8, there is a link to a paste bin file. This paste bin is just a cool way to copy code into a cloud service, so just highlight that or open it up and copy it, and essentially when you paste it, this is how it's going to work. Just to kind of go through what's happening, you can see we have some comments in the green. Those aren't actually part of the code. It's just to kind of help you out. But we're going to take in the word, make it lowercase. We'll see if the word is the same. So whatever the message that user types, if it's the same as that, then can collide and transparency go down. So what that means is we can walk through it. And then eventually, after 2 seconds, it'll go back to being how it was, where you can't walk through it. So this is all that does. It's not important that you understand this code today. Really what we're learning is just how variables work. Okay? So let's go back to the next slide, and that's really just testing it. So at this point, we should be able to hit play, and once it loads, let's see if we find it. Okay, we'll just walk up and we'll enter our chat. So let's say in the chat, we'll say Iron Man, and there it goes. And then we'll be able to walk away. All right, so it did completely go through the world, so it might not be a bad idea for us to anchor this. So if you click on the part and select anchor, when it can no longer collide, it can't collide with the base plate. So that's why it falls through. But if we hit play this time, it will. It should work. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this time we'll type in Iron Man. Perfect. And it'll allow us 2 seconds. Oh, didn't quite make it. But you can see you have about a couple seconds before you can walk through. If that's not enough time and you want to change it, that's fine. Okay, the next thing to do is just add additional things. Now, before you get to adding more parts, make sure that this works. If you have to duplicate it 10 times and then you find out that you have an error or it's not exactly the way you wanted, but then you got to go back and do the other 10 the way you want it to be. So be sure you test this, and then from here you can control D. Oop, I had the decal selected. So I'm going to select the part, control D at the same time, and that makes a duplicate. And then we'll control D again. And you can see this is an easy way to make a bunch of these. However, we don't want a bunch of Iron Man, so in this next one, if you expand this, we can make this next character, let's call it Hulk. And then in the decal, we're going to go back to Toolbox, search for Hulk, and we'll just grab this one. That looks great. So we're going to copy asset ID and then close it so we can see the properties panel. So this is still the Hulk, so we're going to take the asset ID and paste the Hulk. So now when we go back and play, it will allow us to do Iron Man and then the Hulk. Hey, let me show you one thing too, kind of what I was talking about earlier. If you type in Iron Space Man, see how that didn't do anything? So if you prefer to call Iron Man Iron Space Man, it's really up to you. But pick one and stick with it. Same thing here. If I call this the Hulk, not going to work. If I say Incredible Hulk, not going to work. So just be thoughtful on the names that you give it, and if you misspell it, obviously that's not going to work either. And then from here on, we're cruising. So at this point, I think you would just finish out your levels. If you want to develop some sort of pathway with walls and maybe get rid of the base plate so you can't just walk around, because that's obviously going to make this game pretty easy. And then the backlog part is where we're trying to take this and make it multiple pathways. So you might have a pathway here, let's see, and then you might have a pathway going this way, and that might be villains. So again, you can use your rotate tool. Whoops, wrong rotate. Here we go. And but really, it's the same code structure, and you might have like a lobby here. You've probably seen these games before, and that's pretty much the end of it. All right, well, I hope this tutorial has been helpful. Again, don't forget to go through the slideshow for pictures of the content and also the paste bin link to the code that makes it work. All right, thank you.